And welcome to Down with the Browns. And welcome to another episode of Down with the Browns. I have a very special guest today, a former Buckeye legend actually, Cleveland native, and NCAA football champion in Tyvis Powell. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing wonderful. The snow is terrible outside, but you know what? we gonna get through it.
Hey, we live. That's so. Man, before we get started, I just want to congratulate you on being added to the Orange is Oranger podcast.
Yes, I appreciate that, man. It's a huge opportunity. I'm excited to finally, get to talk my Browns talk, because I know some stuff too. I know a thing or two about the NFL. So it's good. It's gonna be good to be able to share my expertise and my thoughts and opinions. And it's just a way for me to be able to talk to, fans and other Browns fans, and we can all get through this together. Hopefully, better days are ahead.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting to be on this roller coaster together.
Well, man, I'm glad you're getting yourself into the podcasting world. It's going to be great to listen to you guys and hear you guys give that insight and all that jazz. So just getting started, I just wanted to ask you, so you played for the Browns for a little bit in a short stint. So how was that with the Browns?
You know what? It was good, man. It was, playing for your hometown team is always a good thing. I mean, obviously, I wish it would have been longer. I wish I would have, things would have ended better. But just being there every day, man, it was like a dream come true. I mean, ever since I played football, I always wanted to play for the Browns. And yeah, just, it was, obviously Hugh Jackson was the coach there. It was a different era than what it is now. Obviously, it wasn't a winning organization at the time, but my whole mind state was, trying to do everything I can and do everything I need to do to try to get us to that winning team. And yeah, it was a beautiful thing. I met some really cool friends there, and I thought the coaches was pretty good. I respected them, and I was just grateful for the opportunity to even be there.
Yeah, and so how was Hugh Jackson in that locker room setting and just out on the field?
Excuse me. He was actually all right. It was the locker room setting. Everybody he did a good job of getting people's attention. Getting people to try to buy into the things that he was selling and stuff like that. I remember he made us do this military workout, or these groups. This group from the military came in. They put us through this intensive workout. It was basically like a team bonding thing. And, it was hard, but I was grateful for it because we became a closer team for it. So I think he did all the right things, to try to do all the right things to try to help make that a better team. But it just ultimately, I don't know if the personnel was there at the time.
Yeah, and I've heard multiple former Browns players like Joe Thomas, Andrew Hawkins, they've commented on Hugh Jackson and they loved him. He was this great coach to them. And I mean, from the fans aspect, 1-15, 0-16, we don't get to see what's inside the locker room much. And we just see from the fans' point of view, and you're just 1-31, I wouldn't want to play for that guy, but
right.
From hearing the few players chat about Hugh Jackson's time in Cleveland, they actually enjoyed playing for him.
Yeah, it was a fun atmosphere. Excuse me. When I got there, Greg Williams had just become the defensive coordinator, and to watch them two go back and forth at each other in practice, because he was a great offensive mind. Some of the plays that he dialed up was really good plays, and it challenged our defense. And the competition was definitely there. It's just like I said, I just don't know if the personnel was there, but I thought he was a good coach. I thought his messages were pure and genuine, and he said things and knew how to get the team's attention. So I definitely think he should definitely get another opportunity. Obviously, he needs a better team. I think if he was with a more suited team, then he could probably be successful in this league as a head coach.
Yeah, it felt like as soon as he got hired, like I was really excited. Like I was still in high school at the time when the Browns hired him, and I remember I took off running down the hallway. I was like, "The Browns got him! The Browns got him!" And because like he had just came from Cincinnati, and Cincinnati had started off like 9-0 that year, and then Andy Dalton got hurt, and then it just kind of went downhill for him. But I mean, I was just really excited that we got Hugh, and then they started trading everybody, dropping everybody.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it eventually worked out. I mean, we're Super Bowl contenders if everything goes right next offseason. But we'll save that for in a minute. But so, like, how was playing in the locker room for Greg Williams?
that man is intense. G Dub is I tell you what, he's a very intense guy, and he comes off as frightening, but when you talk to him one on one, like he's really he's a smart man. Like he just demands the best out of his players, and that's what you need. He's a guy that on the outside, a lot of people might not like him, but if you get a chance to know him and you let him coach you'll really respect what he's doing. And he's just tough. He's just a tough dude. But I loved it. It was nice. I respected everything he was doing.
Yeah, when the Browns were on Hard Knocks, you kind of got to see the inside on him a little bit, and then some of the stuff he was saying on there was just crazy, and you're like, wow.
He's wired differently, but it's a good thing.
Yeah. And he ended up eventually taking over as head coach, and then that's when they kind of took a spurt, like a winning spurt. So, I mean,
yeah, he was doing some really good things when he was the head coach.
Yeah, and so in your like short time in Cleveland, who was like one guy you became really good buddies with, like on the team?
You know what? Obviously all the DBs for sure. All the DBs, because I mean we was that's who I was around the most. I got to kick it with Higgy a little bit. This was back when Ed Reynolds was there. Who else was there? Ibrahim was there. Jabril came. Who else was there? My boy, I knew Marcus Burley because we both played in Seattle together. I'm trying to think, man, it's been so long ago. I can't think of it right now. Kendrick was there. DK was there. I remember there. Kendrick was cool, real cool dude. Yeah, Demario Davis was good. Kirko was definitely a leader. Definitely respected Kirko.
So was Joe Hayden still there at the time?
Joe was still there. Joe was there. Joe, obviously, one of the coolest dudes you ever meet.
So was Joe Thomas ever there? Like, I know that he got that legendary treatment, like where he didn't have to show up much, but
I think Joe Thomas that might have been his last season, I want to say.
Yeah.
I want to say, maybe was 2017, was that his last season?
Yeah, I think that's when he got hurt.
I recall seeing Joe Thomas there. Yeah, he definitely was playing. He was playing for sure.
Yeah, and that must have been pretty cool just to get to play on the same field as Joe Thomas. Like, that dude's legendary.
Yeah, Joe Thomas. It was crazy is that it was like to be able to be with half of like Joe Hayden was kind of funny because like when Joe Hayden got drafted to the Browns, I was still in high school and I still had a picture of me standing side by side because I met him when I was in high school. And I remember when I first met him, I'm like, man, I'm that much bigger than him, height-wise. I'm like, I'm that much taller than him. That's crazy. And we took a picture. It was me, him, and TJ Ward. We all took a picture together. And I was like, man, he should feel very old. He should feel very old to be having that picture and still being playing.
Yeah. Yeah, Joe Hayden's time in Cleveland was something else. I mean, I enjoyed watching him. I mean, now he plays for Pittsburgh, sadly, but
yeah.
I mean, I still got 3 Joe Hayden jerseys in the closet. Not gonna lie, they just sit there now. But
Yeah.
and well, Tyvis. So, what else? Like aside from the Browns, what was like one like place you went to that you like really enjoyed to play for?
There was a couple of places. I did enjoy my time with Seattle as a rookie. Obviously, being a part of the LOB, being in there, that's major. They all everybody in that group affiliated. Excuse me. It's great group of men. Really taught me the game of football. Really took me under their wing. So I kind of respected them a lot for doing that because, me being just a young rookie, they didn't have to do that, but they definitely made it their mission to do it. So I really, I respect them for doing that. San Fran was a really good group of guys. It was all so it was kind of like Seattle, but obviously they was much younger than the players in Seattle. So like they was more relatable, but man, they knew how to have some fun out there. Like that was a very fun time of playing football with San Fran. And lastly, I was in Denver for a little bit. That was the last team I was with was Denver. And that was a group of guys too, just a real close group that really sticks together through everything. And that's kind of what you need. That's a recipe you need to be a great secondary. And yeah, so them 3, that would be my top 3, I would say.
Oh, gotcha. So how was that mile high weather out there?
It wasn't as bad as you would think. It definitely changes. It's like if you've been in Cleveland, it's really not that much different than Cleveland. You'll wake up in the morning. One day it'll be snowing. Then by the end of the day, it could be sunny. It's one of those type of cities. So it wasn't too much different than what I was already used to.
Yeah, and going back, so like who was one specific like DB or just player that you kind of modeled your game after, like coming up, like going to the Ohio State, and then transitioning to the pro game?
The guy that I wanted to be like, who I looked up to as safety, was Cam Chancellor. Obviously, him being the physical specimen that he is, just the way he changed games was just ridiculous. So when I got to meet him in person, obviously it was a very cool experience for me to be able to meet my idol. Outside of him, when I played corner, obviously I was a huge Deion Sanders fan. But
Prime time.
Yeah, every DB want to be like Deion, man.
Yeah, and moving forward, so just to the state of the current Browns, how do you feel like with the Browns in general right now?
That's funny. I think the Browns is just right now. I just think they're frustrated because obviously they had these great expectations, and the injury to Baker was detrimental to the team. I just think it was handled poorly, and I think because of the way it was handled has caused some riffraff in the organization. And I think if that gets cleared up, if they can all get on the same page, get that cleared up, and after hearing Jock and J3 talk about that, they want to be more close next year, I would think. Obviously it's some new guys, so yeah, it's gonna be different. But if they do get that togetherness and become a team and have each other's backs, then I think they will be special. But that's a major key to winning it all. Like you have to be very selfless and want to do it for the guy next to you, rather than yourself, if you have any aspirations to win it at all. So I think right now they need to find a way to become close, and everybody needs to get healthy. And I think everybody just need to get on the same page, and they deserve to all come back and try it again one more time before they all disperse.
Yeah, and I think I think also like the OBJ situation, I think that really hurt the locker room too. Like, Jarvis and him they're boys. They've been boys since LSU, and
Right.
I mean, that had to hurt Jarvis. And then as soon as we dropped him, I mean, Jarvis stopped talking to the media.
Right.
And he was such a big locker room presence. I mean, even back to Baker's rookie year on Hard Knocks, he gave the contagious speech and all that. And I think it's just frustrating, even as a Browns fan, just looking at it. You're like, we were talking about the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And even up till about week 4 or 5, like, I mean, you're like, okay, yeah, we're winning the AFC, no debate. And then just started right downhill.
It's very frustrating because it was. I mean, if you look at the roster and the talent stand, boy, they definitely got the best roster in the NFL, hands down. It's just. I mean, it's just like I said, that Baker injury was detrimental to this team. And it was just, I just think it was handled poorly. Yeah,
and I mean, even going back to the offseason, AB and Stefanski, it felt like they addressed every single hole that you needed. You needed a linebacker, you got JOK, you got Anthony Walker. You need safety help, you get JJ3. And then you need another pass rusher, you get Jadeveon Clowney. And it just felt like you addressed every single hole. And cornerback with Newsome and Troy Hill, like, I mean, it felt like you addressed pretty much everything you needed to address. And after that, it just went downhill.
No, I agree. It was just too much, man. It was so much outside stuff that really just affected the season. And I wish it didn't happen. I don't know. Maybe it needed to happen. Maybe it was a lot of stuff. Maybe people was holding on to, and it finally came out. And that's always good to clear your mind because you can't move forward if you don't get all your stuff out in the open. And so hopefully, they weed out the people who really want to be there, who's all committed to trying to bring Cleveland a championship and stuff like that. If they can do that, then they can move forward. Maybe they can become together and more close and more of a team. And I think that'll help them in the long run.
Yeah. And moving on. So what do you think that the offense has to do this offseason to improve?
Well, number one thing is they need to get some receivers. I think when you look at the Browns offense right now, there's not a receiver who's a burner, like who put fear in offense or in defense. I mean, whether you liked Odell or not, whether they were using him or not, his presence on the field meant something to defenses because they knew what he had the ability to do. When you look at this Browns receiving core, there's nobody that gives that threat, like that. So I don't think nobody fears nobody. So I think they need to address that, whether that be in the draft or one of these free agent wide receivers. Excuse me. I think it's going to be kind of difficult, though, to try to get a receiver to come here unless you're giving them a big payday, seeing how the Odell thing went. I don't think it would be Cleveland looks appealing to a lot of wide receivers due to the fact that we run the ball a lot. But I think that's the number one thing they need to do is address the wide receiver position.
Yeah, and so who do you think, if we do go the free agency route, who do you think the Browns should target?
It's a couple of names. I mean, obviously, I don't think there's no big names. I'm not gonna sit here and say, yeah, we should get Devontae Adams. I don't think Devontae will want to come here.
Man, if the Browns can get Devontae Adams, I will go streaking down from my house all the way to Cleveland.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. I don't see them getting Devontae Adams. Like I said, after with the Odell situation, Cleveland just not going to be appealing enough for him, especially how it was handled. If Odell was a guy who's a top receiver and they couldn't even, find a way to get him the ball and get him involved in the offense, then why would a receiver want to come here and do that, So I think you got to go like mid-tier guys. So I would say somebody like a Cedric Wilson from Dallas. Maybe Allen Robinson if he's if the Bears don't want to go forward with him. Somebody, just people like that. I'm not going to, I got to really go back and look at who's all going to be a free agent, but those are a couple of guys off the top of my head I can think of.
Yeah, I think one name that kind of stands out to me is DJ Chark. I think his size is just attractive because he's like I think he's 6'5". I want to say 6'5". And we don't really have a possession receiver. Like our tallest guy is DPJ, and he's 6'2". And we've really not had just a big receiver in forever. Feels like, and I feel like that's one guy you could get like to win the one-on-ones downfield because most of your corners nowadays are like 5'10" to 6 foot, and when you've got that 5-inch or 5 inches just extra on you, kind of like how Brandon Marshall dominated. I feel like I'm not saying he's Brandon Marshall, but
yeah, no, I get what you.
His height was really what helped him out a lot too.
Yeah. I agree with that. I mean, like I say, it doesn't matter who it is. They just need to. They need to get somebody because I don't really too much see Jarvis coming back again. I doubt he's gonna want to take a pay cut, and just the way how they handle his best friend, his loyalty is with his best friend. So I think he felt some type of way about that, and I don't really expect to see him return next year.
And I feel like, I love Juice. He's one of my favorite Browns players, probably of all time, just because of his heart and passion for Cleveland. And it's gonna hurt like when he leaves and stuff, but it's his pay. It's $16 million, I think, going into next year, and you get that off the books. That could help you go toward like 2 extra receivers, and even wherever you want to put the money at. Cap space is always great to have.
Yeah, I agree with that. And another thing they need to, obviously the big key thing that I feel like they need to address is the quarterback situation, whether that be through a trade or in the draft. I do believe Baker should come back for his 5th year to a healthy Baker, because I think he did his best in the NFL under Stefanski's offense last season. And I see if I don't know. Obviously, nobody really knows. It's sad because he's been in the league for 4 years, and you really don't know whether or not he is the guy or not because he got some key variables in his career that you can't overlook.
Yeah. Like, his rookie year was just sensational, and you're like, oh my gosh, we finally got a quarterback. And then you hit the Freddie Kitchens year, and then it goes downhill, and you're like, okay. And then the Fat Baker stuff started, and then he thins down for 2020. And then we got to the playoffs with him, and he has this just phenomenal stretch down the stretch. And then he has this year where he's hurt, and you're just like, you look at the game.
It's sad. The one knock that I do have on Baker is his ability to take care of the football. His last year 2020 was his outlier year. Outside of that year, he has thrown a ton of interceptions, and I think as a franchise quarterback, your number one job is to protect the football, and he has not shown that except for in 2020. Yeah. So, you can blame that on the shoulder this year, but before that, prior to the shoulder, prior to 2020, he did turn the ball over a lot. So I definitely think that's one thing, that's against him that they do need to address with that. That's kind of why I could see them leaning away from Baker. Okay, we do need somebody who could take care of the ball. And it's just, you have to have a plan. I think they can't go into next season and address it the same way they did this season. I don't know how much faith they had in Case Keenum. I personally would have put him in right when Baker got hurt, and I wouldn't have looked back.
Yeah.
No matter what Baker was saying or whatever, the people may have wanted to see. But I would have let Baker rest his shoulder, because I think he limited our playbook, and it's limited Stefanski's play calling, because if you got a guy who's hurt, obviously there's certain things you can't call because he won't be healthy enough to make those throws. So I think I would have just roll with Case Keenum and let Baker heal his shoulder up, and that way, even if the season went the way it did, you can you could say, this is what Baker wasn't in, or the city of Cleveland, I would say, would be in a better state. We wouldn't be panicking. Baker didn't play this season, or Baker missed X amount of games. And I think it would actually put Baker in a better negotiating power because before the injury, I think he was 82% in passing.
Mm-hmm.
The two games before the shoulder injury. So, you know, he would have obviously, you know, he would have been able to make a better argument for his extension. But yeah, I just think the way it was handled was just poor. And they got to find a way to fix it. Obviously, I hope he heals up, but I think they do need to have another quarterback ready to go.
Yeah.
Just in case, you know, he starts turning the ball over again. And you have to be able to make that decision to bench him or trade him or whatever you want, whatever the case may be, and don't look back. Kind of how Tennessee did with Marcus Mariota and Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, and who's like one quarterback you think, or a couple, who do you think that the Browns should bring in to kind of challenge Baker to be that guy and like just kind of
see? That's the tricky part right there. Because it's you know, you get a lot of like a lot of people give Jimmy G backlash. Like I would think Garoppolo would be pretty successful in this offense. If he has some receivers, I think San Fran runs a pretty similar offense. Jimmy actually is won games. You know, he's been to the Super Bowl. I think his career record is like 34-15 as a starter or something like that. So, you know, he has the ability to win games, and his playoff performance and what he's been doing these last couple of weeks has been very impressive. So I think he would. A lot of people I don't see that being an immediate upgrade over Baker, and that's not a long time answer. And it's like I think obviously I'm kind of biased because I played with him as well.
Yeah,
but I thought he was a really good quarterback.
Well, he's got
Derek,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think Derek Carr is a great quarterback. I just don't think that they're gonna let him go.
Yeah.
And I don't think we can get Russell Wilson. I don't think we can get Aaron Rodgers. So, yeah, I think those are just the kind of names you're just going to have to deal with. You have to take those type of guys.
Yeah, I think that the Browns will probably just sign somebody, kind of like a Mitchell Trubisky or like a Mariota. Somebody that's, you know, kind of on a cheaper deal. And just in case Baker is your guy, the next year you can kind of just let him go. And if Baker's not your guy, you can kind of extend them and kind of be a bridge quarterback for your next guy. Because honestly, you're in a win-win situation. If Baker's your dude, you move on with Baker. If Baker's not your dude, the 2023 draft class is just insane quarterback-wise.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So yeah, I like I said, I can see them taking maybe if they don't get one of these veteran quarterbacks, I could see them, you know, taking maybe a quarterback in the second round or third round or something like that. I think like a Desmond Ridder maybe or Carson Strong. You know, those are a couple of guys that'll probably be there. You know, could develop them. But I just think that's going to basically put you back, you know, a couple of years because obviously they're not going to be ready to just come right in and just play and win right away.
Yeah.
Very seldom you find quarterbacks that's just plugged. They come right in that first year and just, you know, be just dominant.
Yeah. And one thing that kind of just I think Baker needs to do this offseason to kind of prove he wants to be in Cleveland and prove that he's the franchise guy is I think he needs to, I mean, his fire and his ego is kind of what's made him so far, but he needs to just take a step back, reevaluate himself, and I think he needs to work with some legendary quarterbacks, maybe get a Brett Favre on the phone or a Drew Brees, because they all have similar play styles. So if you learn from them, and the situation is kind of similar to Drew Brees, right before he left the Chargers and went to New Orleans before he got traded. Yep. It's kind of similar. So I think that he needs to give one of them a call and just reevaluate his whole his ego and just everything. And I think that would help him progress toward being that franchise guy.
I agree with that, actually. I mean, I definitely could see the similarities. You know, obviously the height with him is a big knock on him, and obviously Drew Brees was successful. So I think he does need to, and I think the offense needs to do a better job. I mean, even though I think they are doing, because I mean they're getting him out of the pocket to be able to make throws, so the line thing shouldn't be a problem if he's you know throwing these bootlegs. I just think his shoulder really just made really hurt him this season. And like I said, until he gets healthy again, we really won't know. It's just going to be interesting to see how he comes back from this shoulder injury. But like I said, there's no way that they can go into next season with him just being the only option as a quarterback. They have to have somebody to go in, because if he doesn't bounce back from the shoulder injury, you still going to have to put somebody in there, and you're still expected to win games. So wide receiver and quarterback is detrimental.
Yeah,
to the success of this season, of next season.
Yeah, I totally agree. And speaking of receiver, the Browns have the 13th pick in the upcoming draft.
Yes.
And who do you want to see the Cleveland Browns select with that pick?
If Garrett Wilson is available, it should be it's a home run. I mean, there's no way that they should go past Garrett Wilson. The problem is, I think he's going to test well and he's going to do well, and I don't think he's going to be there. I think he may possibly be the first receiver taken in this draft. And if that's the case, I think it'll be before the 13th pick. But if he is available there, then that's who I would definitely go with. And how they give them 5 minutes to make the pick. It should take them no more than 15 seconds to make that pick.
Yeah, just already have it ready.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you said, I mean, I'd love to have Garrett Wilson, no doubt. But, since the Falcons are trying to let go, or they're trying to get rid of Calvin Ridley now, I think that they're going to be in the just in for it for a receiver. And I think that's actually where you'll see Garrett Wilson get picked, sadly. But, I mean, if they pass on him, which is, I mean, anything can happen when it comes draft day. You never know what's going to happen.
True.
Until after the pick. And, I mean, if we can get Garrett Wilson, I mean, great. But if we don't, there's a couple good receivers still available.
No, this receiving class is loaded.
Yeah. So other than Garrett Wilson, who would you like to see the Browns go after?
Well, obviously I'm biased. I definitely would go after Chris Olave for sure. Because obviously I watched him, so I know he's good. Jamison Williams is great. Obviously, I'm still biased. But if not none of those, I do like Birch from Arkansas. Big body receiver, really fast. I like London. He like 6'5", so that's a big body receiver.
Yeah.
And a sleeper guy who I got to watch go against the Buckeyes was Jahan Dotson from Penn State. He was a really good receiver as well. If they want to save a pick for later in the draft, probably second or third round, I think David Bell from Purdue would probably still be there. He was a really good receiver for Purdue for the past couple of years. He put up 200+ yards in multiple games. So he let us know it wasn't a fluke.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, this draft is extremely deep in receivers, and I think that the Browns should draft 2 to 3 in this draft. Like you said, if we don't get Garrett, go after one of them. But I think that the Browns should keep their eye. I know this is kind of biased myself, but they should keep their eye on Wan'Dale Robinson. I know he's not big at all, but that dude can catch. Like, I've seen this guy get hit mid-catch and still come down with it.
That's a good pick, too, actually. I like that one.
Like, because you could probably get him in about the 3rd or 4th. I mean, I think a lot of people are going to knock him because of his height, because he's just 5'6", 5'7", somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And I think people are going to knock him on that. But the dude's a heck of a receiver. I mean, but we do need to get a couple of receivers. I don't care which direction, as long as they can catch the ball and score touchdowns.
I mean, at the end of the day, they ultimately get paid for their ability to catch the ball. Before anything, they can run the prettiest routes in the world, be the fastest people in the world, but if they can't catch the ball, it really don't matter. So, yeah, making sure that guy can catch.
Yeah, and well, man, I really appreciate you hopping on this podcast with me today. It was an honor to have you.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate being on there, man. This was a great vibe. I really enjoyed my time.
Man, it's great to talk about the Browns with a former Brown and just Browns fan. I mean, it's just awesome just to sit here and talk sometimes, it just get it out of you, talk about football. So, yeah. Well, man, and we'll get we'll get you on another time for sure.
For sure. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Anytime you need me, let me know.
All right. Yes, sir. See you later, brother.
All right.
And welcome back to Down with the Browns. I got another guest here today in Gabb Goudy. Most of you guys have seen her stuff from on TikTok, maybe Twitter. She's with FanDuel, big Cleveland media influencer. So what's up, Gabb?
Hey, how are you? Thank you for having me. What's up? Just walked in the snow for like 20 minutes. It's been fun.
Well, hey, at least you got to see a Cavs W.
Oh, yeah, that was sick. That was so sick. It was worth it.
Yeah. I mean, they're kind of helping mend the heartbreak of the Cleveland Browns season this year, but with all the they just kind of came out of nowhere, honestly.
Right, like whoever thought, like honestly, like if you would have told me that the Cavs won 27 games, I'd say in total, I'd say, yeah, that's probably it. But we're at 27 games today, and I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah, like I was talking to some of my friends before the season. I was like, if the Cavs can get to 30 wins this year, like I'll be happy.
That'd be like a sick season, right?
Yeah, and now we're pushing
literally almost there. Playoffs.
Yeah. But yeah, they're just making it a little easier.
Right. They're young, they're fun, they're entertaining, and they like to play together. So
that's what we love to hear.
That's what helps you win games, I guess, because clearly.
I mean, when you score more than the other team, that always helps.
Yeah, it always makes you feel better.
Yeah. But just moving on, like, so how is the FanDuel experience? How is that?
I have so much fun. Like, it's one of the best things I've ever done with my life. Like, my career has been like a complete shift from where I started, like out of college. Like, I was working when I went to grad school, I was working in a lab as a chemist, and now I'm talking about sports on the internet. So it's crazy.
So, like, you were, like, probably one, like, bad lab experience away from, like, becoming a superhero.
Right, I was like, yeah, that was it. Like, Spider-Man, that was almost me.
Dang, that's cool. And so, like, I followed you for a while on Twitter and all the social media, and you've, like, grown into this, like, huge, like, media presence on there, like, without trying, I guess. So, like,
I mean, I try sometimes.
Like, I mean,
yeah, but like, yeah, no, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
But it's pretty cool though. Like,
just trying my best.
Heck yeah. And well, I guess we can get to what we're supposed to be talking about on Down with the Browns and start talking about the Browns. And we'll kick it off with. We'll go right off the bat. Let's talk about Baker Mayfield.
Oh, geez.
So how do you feel about him?
In what way? Like, what does that mean? Like, on the field? Like, what are we saying?
Like, on the field, moving forward with Baker Mayfield. How do you feel about that?
I just feel sick to talk about it because it just sucks that we have to even discuss that. Like, why can't we be good enough where we're like, oh, yeah, that's our quarterback, and we'll just keep going? Because I can't say that. I cannot say that. You know?
Yeah, it hurts, like, because after last year, you're like, okay, this is fine. We finally got our franchise quarterback. And
right, and you're thinking, like, this is going to be fine. Like, we're going to be good. And then it just goes back to what we've always done, which is suck.
Yeah, and like before the season, you're like, Super Bowl, Super Browns, let's go. Yada,
right,
yada, yada.
And then now you're just like, super, let's not ever talk about this again.
2021, I don't know what you're talking about, bro. Like,
right, like the only thing about 2021 I know is that playoff win. And besides that, you catch me not talking about anything else.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Like, but I feel like once, like, I know a lot of people are using that as an excuse, but I don't think it initially happened in week 2. Like, he was still kind of doing all right.
Right, like, it was fine. Like, it wasn't anything, like, impressive, but it wasn't, like, anything to harm us.
Like, you were winning football games with them.
Right, like, we were also playing the Texans.
Yeah, but, I mean, we still went toe-to-toe with the Chargers.
Right, like, each game was doable for a little bit.
Yeah, and I think really what kind of ended it, I guess, for the season was when J.J. Watt hit him, and you just see his body, like, go some funky way that no human should go, I guess. Right,
but, like, even during that game, I was like, what am I watching?
Yeah, it was pretty atrocious.
Like, before the hit.
Yeah, I mean, we were down, what, like 31-7?
It was terrible, that's all I know. I had to watch it in person.
Yeah, I bet that was pretty atrocious to watch.
Like,
and
I feel bad. Like when I say these things, like it's not to be mean to any of them. It's just literally, it's like the reality of it, and people don't like that. And I'm like, what do you guys? What have you missed in the last 20 years that makes you think like this is something phenomenal? You went to one playoff game. I'm sorry, did I miss when we went to one this year?
Exactly. Like, I mean, I understand both like ways on him, like moving forward without Baker and moving forward with Baker. Like, I see both standpoints on it.
Right.
Because, I mean, you've seen him at the good, you've seen him at the bad, so you kind of know what to expect with him. But if you want to move on and get a better option, you got to make sure the option's better.
Right.
Like, you don't want to go after somebody that's not as good as Baker.
For sure. Yeah. But when we talk about seeing the good, like, I don't think any of that good has been what I've seen from any of these other young quarterbacks this season. And that makes me a little hesitant on it also. Like, he's not going to put up the numbers like Joe Burrow. He's not going to put up the numbers like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Even like Justin Herbert. Like, there's moments, but they are consistently doing it. And I think that's like, the struggle is the consistency.
Yeah, and like the receiver, like people talk about the receivers being the problem. Like,
oh, I can't deal with those people.
That one hurts me. Like, I know we do need receivers now.
We do. We very much do.
But we kind of ran Odell Beckham out.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you're going to say all these things about the receivers, but then the thing was these people hyped up the other receivers besides Odell all season. They're like, they're fine. Odell sucks. We're going to be fine once he's gone. But once he was gone, what happened? They couldn't do anything. You know why? Because Odell was a decoy out there. Even not catching the ball, it was better with him on the field. Yeah,
and I mean, I guess, I don't know. You can't go back and get that. I think that was a good learning experience for AB. Like, AB he could probably look back at it after this season. He's like, okay, we should have worked that out. There's probably ways we could have, and I think that fractured the locker room. I think that having a good locker room helps out a lot. It makes everybody's job easier.
Yeah, I think the locker room was gone before that, though.
Really? When do you think it was gone?
I don't know. I think it was gone once we started, I don't know, any loss. To be honest, losing to the Steelers even before the video, I think the locker room was kind of low-key gone.
Wow. I didn't even think about that.
I feel like even before that dad video, there was tension. And there was a little bit of like, hey, like, I don't like what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, like, that first week Odell was gone, they go into Cincinnati and just blow the roof off the place, even though there's no roof in Cincinnati. And you're like, okay, maybe it was OBJ. And then you go down the stretch. It was not good at all. And we start. Go ahead.
Sorry, I keep interrupting you. I'm just thinking.
No,
I'm sorry. I just think like even with having him on the team, we weren't going to use him anyways. So what was the point of keeping him?
Exactly. You know? It would have made me feel better if we would have got stuff in return. Like if we'd have known we were going to do that, like, why not trade him? Like, it was the day after the trade deadline.
Like, everybody was saying, oh, let's trade him. Let's trade him. Like, even I was saying, like, if we're not going to use him, like, trade him. You can get at least something. Get whatever kind of pick you can get. And we said, no, let's just feel it out and keep him. And then the next day it was like, oh, shit.
It hit the fan. And then you're just like, oh. But I think as soon as that happened, the whole receiver room kind of changed too. Because, like, I mean, you can see on Twitter, like, Schwartz still loves OBJ, DPJ, Jarvis, obviously, that's his homeboy, and he stopped talking to the media after that.
But like, think about it, like for like Schwartz and them, they've watched him, play for a long time, and they look up to him, they respect him, and he's probably taught them so many things. And there is no way in hell any of those guys on the receiving corps think that he's a terrible teammate, because they really respect him. Yeah.
And it just really, it hurts just knowing that him and Baker never really got that connection going. Because, like, I remember when we got OBJ. I
thought it was awesome.
I was literally doing a paper for school that was due at midnight. And I threw it to the side. I started running through the yard. Like, I mean, not even joking.
Right, like, it was crazy.
Like, I mean, you're like, oh, my God, he's actually coming to Cleveland. It kind of felt like when LeBron came back. I'm not saying, like, to that.
No, but, like, it's the same kind of, like, you are so excited for this.
Yeah.
We just can never keep a star in Cleveland.
Yeah, it's almost like Baker does better with mid-tier receivers. Like his rookie year, he was balling with what's his name? I just went blank. Number 19.
Who are you talking about? Corey Coleman?
No, not him. It was like later in the season. He played for Baltimore and then came to us. Rashad Perryman.
Oh, yeah.
He looked really good with Baker, like toward the end of the season. Like, I mean, he's balling, and then the next year it was Freddie Kitchens' year, and it just kind of, yeah.
You know, like it's just one of those. But I think that like says more about like the quarterback than anything. Like if you cannot make it work with someone that's supposed to be so good, kind of dumb. That's kind of dumb.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting. I think in the offseason, it's going to be harder to get a.
It's not going to be fun.
Receiver. I think it will be. I
don't know. I think it's going to be stressful.
I mean, I think we'll still get some names. I don't know if we'll get like a big time receiver. Like, I don't think we'll get like a Devontae Adams or a Chris Godwin or anybody like that.
We'll get like a middle.
I think DJ Chark. I think if we can get him and then get Garrett Wilson, I think we're set. I think that'd be a good.
Oh, that'd
addition.
be sick.
Because I think DJ Chark's going to go under the radar, and he's bigger. He's a good possession receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been a really big fan of him since his LSU days. Like, I really wanted the Browns to get him the year he went to the draft.
So. Yeah, any kind of upgrade at receiver would be, great.
Yeah. So, how do you feel about Jarvis Landry? Like, do you think he'll be on the team next year?
Okay, so how I feel and do I think he'll be on the team? Very different answers. I love Jarvis. Jarvis is awesome. I loved everything he's done for our team. He's been great since the day we got him. Do I think he's going to be here next year? No, I don't think they should pay him that much.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the $16 million or $15.5 or whatever it is, they're going to have to pay him next year. That's a pretty big price tag for.
There's a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to get you 500 to 700 yards, maybe.
Yes, if we don't upgrade at a certain position. So yeah, I just don't think like paying that much money for a receiver that we do not utilize. I mean, like we use him, but you know what I mean. Like we're not the most receiving yards was a tight end, and the most touchdowns receiving was 4. So. Yeah.
It was just wild seeing the offense regress from. Wow,
that was our strength, sucks.
And it felt like Andrew Berry went out and he's like, okay, this is what we need on defense. We need
because we thought we were good.
Yeah, and like he pinpointed we needed another corner, we needed another linebacker, and we needed safety help. And what did he do? He went out and got JOK, Greg Newsome, Troy Hill, and JJ3.
And then the offense continued to disappoint.
Yeah, and
can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think that they should have, like in certain, not even certain games, in total, do you think that the passing game versus the running game, like what would you have done different? Because I see a lot of people all the time, they're like, oh my God, we need to run the ball more. And then you go, well, why do you need to run the ball more when you have a quarterback that's in the very bottom of throwing? They're like, well, I just want him to run the ball more. And I'm like, so he can't throw it? Or what are you trying to say here? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're trying to justify that. Should we run the ball more sometimes? Yeah, but we're really not doing anything unrealistic.
Yeah. I think that there was games like the Baltimore game.
Yeah.
I don't think that we were going to run on them. I think we ran too much on the first Baltimore game, honestly. I know that sounds weird, but they had loaded boxes all game. You needed to do the little dink and dime pass.
And they were stopping it.
Yeah. You needed to pull the Tom Brady playbook in New England, do the little check downs and drive up the field. That's what you needed to do against them because, I mean, it was working there for a little bit, and then we kept trying to run Chubb, and it just wasn't working because we had 900 people lined up at the line of scrimmage.
Because they knew we couldn't throw the ball.
Exactly. But I think it's a little bit of both. I think some of it goes back to play calling because it was almost it was kind of obvious when we were going to run the ball. Like you'd see 3 tight ends out there, and you're like, okay, this is obviously going to be running, and they'd run the ball. It was like the PA it was rare. down the stretch.
And then, right, like the Raiders game, like when we could have like thrown, we still ran, and then.
Yeah. And it felt like one thing I kind of noticed, it was like once Kareem Hunt went down, I think he had a bigger impact. Like losing him down the stretch was bigger than anybody's kind of noticed. Because last year,
for sure.
Because he fights for yards. Like he'll catch something 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and it's 35 yards downfield to touchdown. Like just because he like the way he runs is just so aggressive.
Right.
And I mean, that's no disrespect to Dearness, but I just feel like
but to Kareem is just better. Yeah,
Kareem's just a dog. Like there's a reason he led the league in rushing back in 2017, 2018, something like that. So, but so who is like who is one player you think the Browns should add this offseason?
I don't know. I've been tweeting about Juju just because it's funny.
But honestly, the more I think about it,
I don't think it's a bad idea.
Yeah, it's not. Like, I mean, I would put like the no TikTok clause in his contract.
Right, like some stuff like that. That's fine. But like honestly, I don't feel like he would be that. Like, because if you look how he acts with like the Steelers and like Ben and like Tomlin, like they really respect him.
Yeah, like
and they utilize him, and he actually performs.
Yeah, and a lot of Steelers fans seem to love him. Like, I feel like if he came to Cleveland, like, I mean, we hate the Steelers. Like, that's just how it is.
We do. They're terrible. But I'd like to win.
Yeah, and Juju's proven that he'd be a good slot guy. I think he'd be a perfect slot guy.
If we're not going to pay Jarvis, pay him $6 million.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not going to give that much anywhere, so might as well just throw a little bit at him. What could be worse? We're at the bottom. We're like bottom tier wide receivers right now.
And I mean, it's good for business too, because I mean, he would sell a ton of jerseys because everybody, like, I mean, he has such a big fan base.
I would buy a jersey instantly. And have I clowned him? Yeah, you know why I clowned him? Because he was making fun of my team.
Yeah, like I mean, the Browns is the Browns.
If he was playing for my team, I would cheer for him. It's just how it is.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Well, like just saying I would want him on the team, I just don't understand why people are like so like. I don't know. The thing with Browns fans is they won't go with like a winning anything. Like if you talk about someone that will upgrade their team, but they don't like them, they're like, nah, fuck them. I don't want that. Yeah. But I'm like, he is going to be the same exact thing as Jarvis, but cheaper. And we're not even going to have Jarvis probably next year. So why not try?
Yeah, exactly. And it's, I don't know, like it's kind of weird though, because like all the clowning he did on the Browns, like I mean,
for sure, that definitely. But our own players do that to our own team.
Yeah, but we gotta address that situation at wide receiver. Like it's just you got to get better.
Somebody, and I'm just throwing out an option, which is not a terrible one, because I think it'd be better than anyone we have right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of people are kind of saying like DPJ could be the number one. I mean, I hope
he's not going to be, and I like him.
Yeah, and I hope he does. I hope he just flourishes and becomes that dude. But I think he would be better suited as the wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, where he's not the main dude. Because I mean that's kind of what we went to, was him being the number 1 down the stretch,
and we saw that didn't work either.
Yeah. So
was it him? I don't know. We don't know. We still don't know. But I would just like more than just that.
Now, if we can get Garrett Wilson in a Cleveland Browns uniform, that'd
be sick.
Yes. Which the more and more I think about it, the less likely it happens, because I started ever since the Calvin Ridley rumors started, that's when my hope for Garrett Wilson's kind of dwindled, because I mean he's obviously the best receiver in this class. And they're going to need a receiver, and they pick at 8. We pick at 13. So
yeah. So that'll be fun too.
Yeah, the draft will be interesting, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So since you on the quarterback situation, if the Browns were to move on from him, who would be your surefire guy to go after?
Who would be my guy to go after, or who do I want the most?
Both.
Very different. Okay. If there is no rules, no limits, I would love Aaron Rodgers.
Oh yeah.
I don't think he's going to leave Green Bay though.
Yeah, I don't think, even if he was to leave Green Bay, I don't think he would want to come to Cleveland.
Right. I just don't think so either. But I feel like also at the same time, I feel like that's very like Aaron Rodgers. He's like a weirdo. He'd be like, oh, this team has never won anything before. I'm cool, so I could probably do it.
Buddy, let's just get Tom Brady out here. Like
I said that. I said that, and everyone's like, oh, he's 40. I'm like, I do not care. I don't care how old he is. Put him on our team.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, if he wants to solidify himself as the GOAT, I mean, there's only one guy that's
Super Bowl in Cleveland. Yeah,
exactly. Do something nobody's ever done. Even just get us there.
That's a great tweet. I might post that later this week. If Tom Brady wants to solidify himself as the greatest all-time athlete ever, he should come to Cleveland and win us a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Would it go over well? No. Should I do it anyways? Yes.
Yes. But yeah, I think. Well, okay. Going back, who do you think that the Browns would most likely go for?
Any kind of wide receiver.
Like, I mean, quarterback wise.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were talking about draft. Sorry, my bad. Quarterback wise, who do I think they're going to go for? I don't know. I really do not know. Derek Carr is easy to say. I don't know how I feel about Kirk Cousins. I just don't. I mean, that's an upgrade.
Yeah.
But do I want that upgrade? I don't know.
Yeah, that cap hit would be kind of nasty.
Right. Like, I don't know if I want that upgrade. I've said this and people will get mad about it, but like, I don't really like, because realistically, we probably will have Baker. So why not bring in competition? Maybe like Mitch Trubisky, bring him in as a backup.
Okay. Yeah. I've said this numerous times. Like, I think the Browns should bring in somebody. If they do go Baker Mayfield, you got to upgrade the backup position.
You need someone to compete.
Yeah, exactly. If Baker's not your guy, you need to get somebody that's good enough to come in and just win games. Like, I mean, Trubisky got the Bears to the playoffs that 1 year under Matt Nagy.
Right, and he's terrible.
Yeah, I think that should boost his stock.
Hometown hero.
Exactly. And then if you don't want to go the Mitch Trubisky way, Marcus Mariota.
There you go.
I think those two would be great backups. And I mean, if Baker proves himself next year, great. You just sign them to like a 1 year deal, and then you move on.
And the quarterback class is trash, so I don't even want to think about that.
Oh yeah, this one's pretty bad. But like, if Baker's not your guy, you're not paying him, and then you're not paying like another guy to come in. You can draft in the 2023 class, and that one's pretty stacked.
My thing about Baker is though, like, because everyone's like, oh, he's hurt, he just needs one more chance, he needs another chance. He's had so many coaches, he's had this many chances. I'm like, he's 20. He's going to be 27.
Yeah.
He's going to be 27 before our season starts. There are 23-year-olds out here doing what he has never done.
Mm-hmm.
We're wasting our time. We're wasting Myles Garrett's career.
Yeah, that's what I said in a group chat the other day. I was like, it hurts because we're wasting Nick Chubb, Denzel Ward, and Myles Garrett. I mean, Myles is only going to be, like, I mean, I'm not saying he has like a certain age group he can be like this dominant pass rusher, but I mean, you just don't want to waste a year of them because, like, you never know. So, and I think I don't want to give predictions on next year because you just never know how this offseason's going to turn out. It's going to be a long year.
Yeah, it's going to be a long year.
Well, Gabb, I really appreciate you hopping on here with me tonight.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and it was great. And we'll have to get you on again for sure. And I think that'll conclude the episode. And we'll get back at you. And go Browns.
Go Browns. Hell yeah.
See ya.
See ya. Thank you.
Orange and brown, running the town. The MC champs, I'm loving the sound. Ready for steel, ready to rave, ready for fall, ready to bang. See us, we coming, we styling, we loud, we passing, we running, we touching it down. Cleveland, the city, we good, we did it, we been through the gritty, we loving the Browns. Never will chill, never will lounge. We are the dogs, we are the hounds. Never the fears, we blew and we bleeding, so get on your feet, cause we are the Browns.